What are we doing?
This is Anthony and Jalleh reporting live.
Names now.
Reporting live.
Oh my gosh. It is November 11th, 2022 at 9:32-ish.
We're in our bed.
You are getting so close to it. You don't need...
Comfy.
Well, it appears that earlier tonight I was too sensitive.
Ah, yes.
Don't act different.
The topic about whether men and women should share equal roles in the household.
You just gotta talk normal.
So
you got a podcast voice already.
I watched this. So I watched this video earlier, and basically it was explaining that.
All right, no, let's see if they can pick it up.
Ah, okay.
All right, whatever.
Go ahead,
all right,
play it for our listeners.
Oftentimes, men will volunteer themselves in a role which is, I'm happy to do whatever you need me to do, kind of a thing. But that's offered often as like an egalitarian solution. Hey, baby, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. We'll split it 50-50. But the whole framework of that is wrong because it's putting the responsibility of the woman to be the project manager of the home first and foremost, that you then fill in whatever assignment she gives you. And I agree when people say that is wrong and not 50-50. If you say, hey, look, do you need me to clean the dish? It's like, no, what I need you to do is help me decide what the fuck needs to happen in this house and have an actual say, not ask me for tasks to be delegated to you like a child.
Okay, that was the clip. Twitch. When you had shared that with me, I had felt like you were trying to tell me that
you thought
I'm
was
a
trying
child.
to give you some kind of clues.
Yeah, I felt like you were telling me that I'm a child.
No, I was just trying to share some wisdom with you because I thought that he was onto something.
No, I think what he made was a good point.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but to realize that the same shit he was talking about is exactly what I do. No. And I had to explain myself. I got offended. Oh, so it's like I had to explain myself, and the reason why is because I asked you, babe, what can I do to help? And it's like it was coming from a place, and we cleared all this out.
Yeah.
It's like I was telling you that I was coming from a place to say I want to know what will bring you that comfort, or that what would alleviate you from being so stressed out.
Right.
If you leave it up to me and for me to scan the house and figure out what needs to be done, it's like I'm just going to do what the hell I think needs to be done. You know what I mean? I see clothes in the dryer. All right, I'm going to pull them out. You know what I mean? It's like if I got spare times where everything's like kind of like you know if you're cooking, kids are playing and all this other stuff, and I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumb, I'm going to fold. You know, whatever. You know what I mean?
And let me just explain to you, just so you all know this piece of information.
To the phone?
Is that,
it's like you gotta,
is that I just want everybody to be aware that earlier when I shared that video with you and you were offended by it.
Yeah.
I said to you, said to you, this was by no means me saying that you need to work on X, Y, and Z. It was
but you sent me that and there was nothing. There was like nothing. There was no follow up. And like you said, it was like it didn't help.
I can understand. Why
3 minutes before you sent me that video, you brought me the baby, and like I'm sitting with our other two children. You bring me the baby and just sit it right on my chest. He's like, "Okay, yeah, she's your daughter too," and walk away. And then you send me a video like that. I'm like, "What the? What's this all about?" You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, no, I understand. And
of course, I'm going to be like what are you trying to tell me? I mean, like, am I a child? I mean, it's like, I do ask you. No, I think that, I mean, the point that he's making in the video, I think it's like, it shouldn't be, because there are men that I feel like that are, they'll go in there, they'll ask their wives, they should be wives, not significant others. I mean, you should be, if you're living with them, you should be married. But it's like, if you're living with them, men will go up to them and be, what can I do, to help out? And the reason why they're asking that question is because they don't know. Now, if you don't know, that's a bigger problem, right? But it comes down to a question. It's where it's like what you feel like needs to be done and what I feel like needs to be done, totally two different things. I feel like that video is coming from a place from a guy who doesn't know or doesn't care Either doesn't know or doesn't care what needs to be done. He's just all about doing his thing. He's just like, all right, I'm just trying to get through this so I can hop on Call of Duty, or if I'm just trying to get through all this so I can do my thing or whatever. You know what I mean? That, am I making sense here?
Yes.
Okay. Some reciprocation would be great, because I feel like I'm just babbling right now.
I'm just letting you speak. I'm letting you air out your opinion. I think that...
So yes, I was offended.
I apologize for the offense, and that was not intended. It was just that I appreciated what this man had to share, in the sense that I think he was bringing up a point about, if you see something that needs to be done in the home, just take care of it.
Yeah. I'm with it. Yeah. And there's things that we'll miss, right? Like, I'll forget about the grass, and you're just like, maybe we should cut grass. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let me go do it. You know what I mean? Can't think of it all. We're a team.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
And the other point of it was that the woman should not be acting as the mother.
I think the woman should be, not the mother of the husband.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the point, it was the point that
totally
that was
agree.
the point that he was making in the video, was that, you know,
I shouldn't have to treat you like a child.
Exactly.
Right.
Treating her husband like a child. You know, I need you to do this, son. So now, would you say, based on that clip, was that what is the word? Was he targeting the man or the woman?
Hell yeah. I think no. Well, he could be targeting
To both. Yeah.
I think it's directed towards the man. The woman aspect of it, he's talking about the whole relationship as a whole. You know what I mean? It could be twofold. So one side of it is what I think is the obvious one is men step up. You shouldn't have to be told what needs to be done. It's good to get information. You can't think of it all. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not a mind reader.
Sure.
So, I mean, like, information is good, you know, preferably told in a loving way. You know what I mean? Just, but if my assessment of, let's say, the house logistics and what's going on in the home may be different than the way you look at it. And, I mean, what was that one quote? I liked it when you were saying, just like, I'm not angry, I'm just overstimulated. Was this something I think your sister, was it your sister saying, or you? I think your sister.
I'm sure I heard it somewhere, yeah.
Okay, so it's like, it's not that I'm angry or mad, it's like I'm overstimulated. It's like you were constantly been bombarded with all these tasks, and that you've just been putting fires out all day. It's exhausting, you know, I'm sure. So, what was my point? I feel like I got off track here. Help me get back on track.
So you brought up that point to suggest
the twofold. There's two sides to this, right? So it's that the obvious one is being the man. The man being the one being addressed. Okay. Step up, you know, audit the house, help out, do what you think you can do to contribute, you know what I mean? Spend time with your kids, you know, first thing, selfishly, I mean, honestly, I run through my pet peeves, you know what I mean? Like, full sink, first thing. It's like, I can't stand a full sink. So it's like, I got to empty it. So if I come through the door, give all the kids kisses, blah, 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 laugh, talk about the day a little bit and all this other stuff, immediately, if I see the Vitamix thing or the container filled to the brim and there's like all this other stuff and the sink is full, that's the first thing I want to do. I just feel like I just want to...
Disclaimer, that's very rare.
Wasn't speaking through experience, I'm just giving examples here, you know. But that's the point. It's like those are my pet peeves. So, and that's the point I'm making, is like a man's general auditing of the situation is going to be different than what maybe yours. Okay.
Well, yeah.
So I'm belaboring a point. So we were talking about, like, what is this video more addressed to? Is it the man or the woman? And it's like, I think it's both. The obvious one is being the man, but the woman also, I could say that I think women should have this speaks to the women to where they're not having the role of enabling the man. You know what I mean? So them being able to, if they notice that if they're mothering the man and all this other stuff, it was like, you're doing nothing but enabling his laziness, and you know, you're not getting him to.
What would you suggest a woman should do when faced with a situation where she feels as though the man is not stepping up to the plate, and she does have to delegate tasks because he doesn't, or he at least is not showing up for what needs to be done around the home? So what would you suggest a woman should do in that situation?
I mean, you're getting really deep here. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's that there's so many. there's no one size fits all for this question. I mean, it's just like there's so many variables that are at stake. You know what I mean, obviously the answer I give is not going to be the right answer for a husband who's a paraplegic. That's obviously not going to be the right answer.
Okay, let's not say.
You know what I mean?
Let's just say
there's no one size fits all for this. You know what I mean? Because like, what if there's things that like, I mean, I hate to say it, but what if there's things that she's not doing right?
Such as?
What if she's just like literally neglecting everything in the home, and then she's just waiting, and she's coming.
Okay, let's say
she's asking the question.
Okay.
Was like, what if he ain't stepping up to the plate? I was like, you want him to care? What the hell? It's like,
Let's just
like,
say
there's so many variables
if
here.
If the woman is holding down as best as she can the household chores, taking care of the kids, all of that, what would you say to the man whom she feels needs to step up to the plate?
Well, I mean, I think you're getting into a communication issue, or I think you're getting to a communication realm to where it's like a husband and a wife, you know, mother and father, they're supposed to be able to sit down and talk. You know, effective communication is absolutely key. It's a necessity. It's a foundation.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the strongest links in the chains of marriage. You know what I mean? And so, stop that. But so having the wife being able to communicate to the husband to where like, look, I'm burnt out, blah blah blah, you know, so this, you know, etc. Lay out your case. You know what I mean? In a loving way, not in a demeaning way. Men, and I think this is generally across the board, never want to be told what to do.
Absolutely.
You can't stand it. I mean, generally, I think it goes across the board anyway. I don't think anybody likes being told what to do. But being able to communicate and just voice your concerns, voice your pains, your griefs, your trials, your tribulations, and a good husband is going to listen to you. You know what I mean? He's going to take note of all of that, and he ought to be. How do I say this? He ought to be taking the steps in looking what he can do to take care of his garden. A man should look at his wife and be in his garden. He's got to tend to it, make sure there's no weeds growing in it. He's got to make sure that it grows, it prospers, tend to it every day. You know, that's what a man ought to be doing. So a good man is going to be
That was
listening.
actually my follow-up question.
Oh, okay.
How would you define a good man?
A Christian one. That's the shortest answer without making this thing a 3-hour. We can talk all day about that, but a Christian man. Christian man is, I guess basically in a nutshell, will treat his wife above himself. He will demonstrate the absolute best type of love there is, and that's agape love, self-sacrificial, a love that is not about the betterment of himself, but the betterment of her. And he embodies the illustration of what Christ did for us, the bride, his bride, which is the church. So not the Catholic Church, not the church building. It's talking about the church group, which are church equals true believers. So we get into that whole portrait. So Christ, church, man, or husband, wife. You know, what Christ did for the church, man should be doing for his wife. Laying down his own life, loving her, and biblical love, loving each other biblically. And love is an act of the will. It's not an ooey gooey feeling. I mean, all those that comes with it, but love is an act of the will for the betterment of the other. In a nutshell. So,
what would you say to the man who has a hard time understanding his role?
Are you counseling a man? Because I'm a husband.
I'm sure there is a man who is listening to this who might have an issue with laying down his life, as you would describe.
Well, just give me a call, brother. Just give me a call. And I don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
And please let it be known that it's like I am not one who has got this all figured out to a T. What it is, I'm right in the trenches with all the other men that are out there. But I'm fully convinced that real men are Christian men. So that's and being submitted to the scriptures, reading what it says, obeying it, and I think that's gold. You know, I think that's what's really going to be what separates the men from the boys. But I'm sorry, what was your question? You were saying, what would you say to the man, or you said,
who has a hard time understanding what it means to lay down his life for his bride?
Laying down your life for the bride? Laying down your life for the bride means like it has nothing to do with you. So, stupid example, but it's an example nonetheless. I wanted to be a rock star. Prior to us to get married, right? Yep, laid that down. Can't do it. You know, when we got married, beautiful wife, you know, and I inherited a child also. I mean, I was living paycheck to paycheck and couldn't save any money, in debt, you know, crazy. I was an idiot. You know what I mean? And you inherited that. I mean, it's like you took that on. I mean, anyway, but not getting all into that, but it's just inheriting a child. There was no room for me anymore. And most people in today's culture and society would sit there and look at that as a problem. It's like, no, you got to make sure you have time for yourself. You got to make sure that self-love, self-treatment, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I get that. But the thing is like, that's not it's only a temporary thing. And it's like, it's all ultimately going to end in nothing but horror. It's going to end in nothing but pain after all that. I mean, think about it. I mean, if you're going to serve yourself, if you're going to reserve that time for yourself, your life is going to be exhausted to the point where other people are going to be depending on you. And you're not going to sit there and turn your back on them when they're in need because you need to serve yourself. I mean, just being quite frank, that's BS. I mean, men just shouldn't be doing that, So, to answer your question in terms of what it is like laying down your life for your bride, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's the obvious answer is, I mean, what most people think of is like, I jump in front of a bullet for you. Yeah,
but what does that look like in the practical sense?
It's more than that. Yeah. It's like your personal ambitions, your personal interests, your personal just your selfish wants and desires and whatever it is. That's all. It's like, that's all. It's not that you can just throw them all in the garbage can. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the others come first. If I had a choice to where me being a rock star or encouraging you and setting you up to be the news anchor that you always wanted to be, or writing underscores for music, I would spend all of my energy making sure that you would achieve what you would want to do rather than me being a rock star. I mean, plain straight, that's me putting my life down. It's like I'm putting my own self-interest aside to assure that you succeed. And it doesn't stop with you. I mean, it's like, you are my primary. You come first. God first, you. That's the order. You come before the children. Then the children come. And then I do that to all my kids. Our kids. And then after that, it's everyone else.
So then someone might ask, well, when is there time for me?
There isn't. There isn't. It's like, and if you get it, awesome. If you don't, suck it up, buttercup. I mean, it's just like you don't want to be laying down on your deathbed realizing that you spent all your time being selfish.
This leads us into something that you and I have been discussing concerning deathbed.
Oh, you got this from another Instagram.
What was it? Deathbed wishes? Deathbed decisions.
Deathbed decisions, yeah.
Okay, so what you're talking about is you don't want to be on your deathbed looking back and realizing I spent my whole life living for me. Right. Instead, you want to be able to look back and say what?
I did all that I could. I did everything that I could. This is what, as Paul would say, it's like, I ran the race. You know what I mean? You want to be able to say that. You want to live life to its fullest. You want to be able to exhaust all of your efforts for the right reasons. You're not going to always get them right. I don't think one person, I think most people will probably go on their deathbed saying they wish they would have done something.
Sure.
I'll say 90% of the people, maybe more, will say that they wish they would have X, Y, Z. But that just goes to show that more than 90% of people don't think about bigger things. They don't think about the eternal things, the bigger things, the things that are worth more. They get so caught up in what society is telling them is valuable, right? So it's like, rather than putting all your kids in activities, you wish you would have just spent more time with them rather than the office or things of that sort. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, I'm pontificating, but I mean, this whole friggin' thing has been a pontification. So, yeah, so deathbed wishes is like what you were saying, or deathbed decisions is that when you come to a decision point in your life, you ask yourself, on my deathbed, which road would I wish or hope that I would take? And it kind of alleviates a lot of or it kind of removes a lot of the earthly or petty. You may consider them petty at the time, but it's like, but a lot of the petty distractions or concerns that you may have.
Yeah.
So.
Which is something that I know you and I are desperate to aim our life's course on, right?
Yeah.
Like, on our deathbed, what would we look back and say, about our lives, you know? And I think it's exciting to think that we encourage anybody to evaluate their lives in that, from that perspective.
Yeah, evaluate and audit it. You know what I mean? It's like, not only just like look at it, but like also auditing it, meaning like, you're taking into account, you're measuring it out. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm 30 years old, or I'm 35 years old, or I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, what are you doing for the rest of your life? It's like,
David,
you know what I mean?
David has I believe it's David that penned this psalm. I'm not sure, but there's a verse that says that, teach me to number my days so that I may gain a heart of wisdom, which I think falls in line with what we're talking about.
Right. Audit, and we're saying like, you're saying like, I say audit your life, and you're saying, what was it? Evaluate. Evaluate your life. Yeah. They might be synonymous. I don't know. We could be saying the same thing. We're famous for that. Saying the same thing 2 different ways, and then we argue about who says what, right? But whatever.
We come from opposite sides of the pendulum, and then we meet in the middle.
We're the masters of extremes, and then we argue about what the harmony is. and a lot of the times, 99% of the time, we agree on the harmony.
Yes.
But by the end of the conversation, one of us lean a little bit harder to one side or the other. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, to wrap this all up.
I was going to say, this is pretty much, I think it's a good amount of time here for the episode.
To wrap this all up, how would you, what is
Wait a
one...
minute, time out. Am I being interviewed here? This is your podcast. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you have all the wisdom.
No, I don't. I'm just a guy with a Bible trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And doing the best we can and being the hands and feet of our God. That's it. But go on.
So to wrap this all up, give me a one-liner of how you would conclude what we were trying to share in our conversation.
That is, I can't do it. I don't know. We've hit so many different subjects. No, I can't do that.
Come on, just in one line.
Be a man. I don't know. It's just like, and be a man, be a Christian man. You know what I mean?
What makes being a Christian man a man?
What makes being a Christian man?
A man.
A man. I would have to say that all the instructions and everything that God has itemized all throughout his scriptures on what a man ought to be and what he should be and what is required of him is really the architectural framework for being the epitome of a real man. I mean, it's not just, it's the whole package. A man that is just, righteous, strong, decisive, not a coward, all of these, like when I say masculine type things, but also compassionate, able to listen, able to live in understanding.
Now,
able,
would you could we presume that Jesus embodied both?
Yeah, but Jesus embodied the whole package. I mean, say what you want. I mean, there's all kinds of scholars that like talked about that, but they like not going down this rabbit trail with the red heifer. But why is it a red heifer? A heifer is a female, right? It's a female bull, right? So it's like, why? How does that illustrate Christ? You know what I mean? Red, crimson. We think of the blood. Heifer is feminine. So how is all that? It's like it's like God really is the whole package. It's like when God created Adam, he was only one side of it. Woman was the companion. So the places where he lacked, she would have, and the places where she lacked, he would have. So having this whole relationship between woman and man is actually the entire illustration of who God is. God is not feminine. He's never identified as that. He's just everything. But if he had to split himself into two different sexes, it was man and woman, and the union between the two, between the compassion, the love, the nurturing, the care, the long suffering, strong, that's the womanly type thing. But there's things that they share, but there's also the man is also strong, but he's just, he's righteous, he's a warrior, you know what I mean? He's a fighter, he's a
Did you just say
a leader.
woman is strong?
Yeah. Yeah, a woman. Well, yeah. I mean, I think women are very strong. I mean, like people have said, you never get between a woman and a child. Never get, being part of that wrath. Yeah, I
The
would
first
totally,
thing that came to mind actually was childbirth.
right, childbirth. That's tough. I mean, they're strong women. Us men will never be able to experience that. Despite what society says, but yeah, I mean, there's characteristics that women and men share, but there's characteristics where they don't. And the thing is like where they seem contradictory, they actually end up, if they are able to communicate, end up being complementary.
Beautiful.
So there. I mean, that was more like a paragraph / 1,000-word, but women. I'm not going to repeat it, but there. If you want me to sum it all up.
So we appreciate you listening in. This is our first podcast, and we hope to make many more. Feel free to comment. Let us know what you think. If there's other topics you'd like for us to discuss, we'll be happy to do so. Good night.